Today, I'm here with my beautiful mother. Different questions this go around. If you guys haven't watched, first part was my dad. It's gonna be linked in the description. Watch that before you watch any part of this video. Completely different conversation today with my mom. My best friend, she's my hero. She's my everything. My mom has raised 5 kids and has been married for 32 years. A couple questions for her about early life, about raising kids, raising 5 kids, about motherhood. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe and turn on the post notification. If you guys have any value, let me know. Let my mom and I know in the comments. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What was your first job and how did it go?
I had a paper route.
What's a paper route?
What's a paper route? It's when people would get the daily newspaper delivered to their home.
Oh, we have these now.
But some people still get newspapers, but it's all online now. So, and my first real job, like with a paycheck, was at McDonald's. I started out in the grill and I loved it. I never would have thought I would love it. I always came home smelling like a French fry.
Money now is different. How much did you get paid back then?
$3.35 an hour. No tips. $3.35 an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How many times would you say you've been in love?
There's different kinds of loves, right? There's early love and you don't really know what love is. And then there's lust. And then I've met the love of my life, love. I would say early love, I was in love 2 or 3 times. So I met the love of my life, got engaged, and he broke it. He cheated on me. So that put me in a tailspin. And
How old were you when
I was a senior in high school, and we were together for 5 years. In hindsight, I can look back at it and say he was totally the wrong one for me. But when you're going through it,
yeah,
I was crushed.
So then how old were you when he cheated and you were done with him? So 18, right?
18 to 23.
Both. Okay.
I didn't know he was doing me a favor. And I still felt like, what did I do wrong? Like I'm very hard on myself. So it put up a lot of walls. I mean, I think anytime, especially in a long relationship, when you are with someone for that long and then you have to like start over, it's exhausting. It's mentally exhausting.
And it gets harder too when you're good with their family and you're good with...
When I lost him, I lost his family.
Connected, yeah.
Yeah.
Him with his family. And
yeah. When it ended, all I did was work and sleep. Couldn't deal with the in-between. I didn't have a life in between because I just...
You're thinking about it would...
Yeah, what did I do wrong? And that was so much of my life. And then it was gone.
And then you meet somebody else. And then think that's your newfound standard.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There are a couple other people that you think you're in love with and you think you're vibing with. And then, you know, the longer you're in it, you're finally like, yeah, no. And like you and I have had these conversations where you say, you hope that you only fall in love with one person and you marry them and everything is great. And that's all you ever know.
Right.
But, you know, life isn't a straight line, right? There's detours. And sometimes we don't plan for those detours as much as we don't want the detours. So when you date people, ideally, you'd really like to meet the one and be done. But then what happens is, then you date another person and you say, oh, I really like this about that person, but the rest, no. And if you could take pieces from the first person and the second person and however many people there are, you know what you're looking for the more you date, but the harder it is to put that person into one puzzle to be your ideal person. It's a blessing and a curse, right? The more people you date, the more you know what you're looking for.
Right.
But at the same time, sometimes you think, I'm never going to find that person because they don't exist.
Right.
You know? So, like I've said to you, you can't be looking. It just finds you. And you just know when it's right. You know when things click and it's easy and it's simple. It shouldn't be hard. It should be natural. And it's always easier if you knew the person before than, you know, like meeting in a bar, that those don't always work out. But kind of like if you know a little bit or if you're friends before, you know, like it just makes it a little bit easier.
What would you say is the best relationship advice you've received?
Be true to yourself. You know, don't compromise. Don't settle. Maybe don't settle. Because you deserve everything.
The worst advice.
What do you think you did wrong? Which is sad, right?
He said that to you?
Yeah. He didn't. No.
But
somebody else said, you know, the worst advice or worst thing.
Yeah, especially when somebody just cheated on you.
But, you know, you go through life and people say things and you either keep them in your life or you say, okay, so really? So that's what you think. So do I really want you in my life? And that's what you're...
good intention.
Yeah.
With
Yeah. So, yeah.
What do you think, what are keys to a successful marriage?
Someone who is there for you.
Yeah.
That they'll listen to whatever you have to say and they don't judge.
Yeah.
That's important.
What are some things that make your relationship with him so special?
Probably everything that I just said. He's always been there. Like, to everything.
Is it worth it to fight for the relationship or to, continue to, not that relationship is shaky, but, it's not your best moment right now, and just being patient with each other? And
I don't know that this happens a lot, but in relationships, if somebody just needs space, you have to not suffocate them.
Yeah.
Because they might not be gone forever. They just need some time. And it's hard. It's hard on the heart. Did I lose her? Did I not lose her? For anybody, you have to do what you feel in your heart. But I would tell anybody, if you're having doubts, you have to voice that. Or you're headed, you have to clear your head of that stuff and make sure. And yeah, is it a hard thing to do? Yeah. But do you want to go down the aisle? Do you want to have kids and then have an end? So like, even with regard to having kids, so we got married, we were doing our college degrees, and then like, he wanted to have kids right away. I said, no, I'm not ready.
Oh.
And again, he was very patient. He waited 10 years to have kids. When I thought about having kids, like, I just wanted to make sure our marriage was going to survive it. Like, there's so many people that have kids right out the gate. And you know what? You have to make sure in your relationship that it's strong enough before you bring other children into it.
Yeah.
And that was important to me. And he was patient for that.
Do you have any advice for me when it comes to relationships and marriage? Because if anybody, you know me best. I've come to everything that all my past relationships, friendships, like everything, like I go to you and Dad, so.
You've always been an outgoing kid. You need to make sure that you find someone who doesn't put out that fire. You have a lot of balls in the air, whether it was school, whether it was your YouTube stuff, whether it's your friends. There's different things in life that you keep going. It's your balls in the air, right? I would say don't ever compromise the balls you have in the air for one person. If they love you, they will respect what you have going on in your life. And that's important. It's important that your mate respects what you have going on, and that they appreciate the time that you can give them. Not that you're not going to reciprocate that, but it's a give and take. It's a push and pull. It's not a, we've had this conversation, right? Relationships are bank accounts, right? You have a bank account, you make deposits. Sometimes some people make more deposits. Sometimes people make more withdrawals.
Yeah. It
has to be a balance. And it can't be to the point where you're making all the deposits or the other person is, or the other person's making all the withdrawals, because, and we've talked about this, it can get to a point where if somebody makes too many withdrawals, the account is overdrawn. There's nothing left.
Right.
And then it also can get to the point where
you're not even talking about just money in a relationship.
I'm not talking money at all. I'm talking relationships.
Exactly.
And when the account is overdrawn, sometimes you get to the point where you have to close the account and you have to move on.
Yeah.
So relationships have to be a balance of deposits and withdrawals.
Okay.
To keep the account open.
Understood.
Okay.
A lot of controversy from the last video about the whole story about how you and Dad met. Let's say if you guys are still watching, sure, subscribe and talk to us in the comments right now. How did you and Dad meet?
It was between 3rd and 5th grade that I lived relatively close to Dad. My parents were still married. As young boys do, they do things to show their affection for someone that they think is affectionate or maybe even funny that girls find disgusting.
Flirting.
So
That's it.
Boy flirting, yeah. Definitely not the girls' way of flirting.
No, you want flowers.
Yeah.
Instead, weed. Go ahead.
So they would walk past my house, and this particular day, Daddy was throwing worms at me.
Like chucking them?
Chucking them. I thought that was the most disgusting thing.
What did you first think of now that he's grown? He's no longer throwing worms at you and
He was every girl's best friend in high school, but he didn't date a lot in high school. He was very into his studies. He was number 8 in our high school class. He was just, he was very focused. He said, oh, we should go out sometime. I said, okay.
Sounds like you didn't think anything of it.
He said, we should go out sometime. I said, okay. I said, yeah, call me. He goes, well, I don't have a pen. I said, okay. I said, well, my number's not listed, meaning back in the day, phone numbers, we had phone books that were like 3 inches thick. So you didn't have Google or you didn't have whatever. You had to look up a person's number. So he's like, oh, my number's listed. He's like, so just call me.
Wait, what do you mean listed? Oh, in the marriage?
So my phone number wasn't listed. My mother never wanted our number listed, but Dad's phone number was.
So wait, so you just looked up Dad, his name?
Dad, you looked up Hofacker, and then if you kind of knew where they lived, it would have their address. This stuff, it's all out on the internet now, but back in the day, the phone companies used to print these phone
You'd
books.
be able to call anybody at any given time.
All right, I'll say this on camera. Like, people used to make prank calls. Like, they'd look up the name Lipschitz. Hey, if your lip shits, my ass talks. Like,
Oh,
I'm not
man.
kidding. Like, and people would just call, or just random people. I mean, that kind of stuff is available now on the internet, but back then it was in a phone book.
Really?
So my number, you would have to pay not to have your number listed.
Oh, okay.
One day I called him, so he will tell you that I called him,
Which you did.
which I did, but because he couldn't call me and he didn't have a pen and paper. But whatever, it is what it is. But yes, that's the 32-year story of who called who got the first date.
Like the following weekend after the marriage?
Yeah, it was a week after the wedding.
Wow.
I had no preconceived notions that this is my future husband, or oh my God, maybe he's the one. That never entered my
Then
mind.
after the date, after that weekend that you got, or the night that you guys went out,
Yeah.
you come home, were you thinking anything? Like, oh wow, he's more than what I thought.
You know what? It was a bit of
Or did it take more
It was
dates?
confusing because I felt like, wow, that was such an easy date, but that's Danny Hofacker, like from 3rd grade with the worms.
I can't date him.
But yeah, so to try and separate the school Dan from the adult now working Dan, it took me a bit. So we went on a couple more dates. We went to Great Adventure, and then we went grocery shopping, just normal life things. And I'm like, this is so easy.
When I come to you, like all the people watching, when I come to you, there's this thing nowadays called like situationships.
Mm-hmm.
That I would consider that like a situationship. Like, especially like grocery shopping, like you guys are inclusive, like you guys obviously seeing each other, hanging out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can go see other people, but it's kind of like both in your heads without saying anything, like we're together, but we're not together.
Yeah, like your generation, this whole
Yeah.
situationship, and no, we're not
Some people
really a
nowadays
couple.
like do situationships for like 9 months, and then when they want to end it, they're like, oh, you can't get mad because we weren't ever dating.
Yeah, you know what I call that? I call bullshit.
Bullshit.
I don't understand that. Like, you either are or you're not.
Yeah.
You're not half in, half out.
So then,
So those are just players.
did you ask him out, or did he ask you out, like dating?
He always asked me out after that.
No, I'm saying, but like, do you want to be my girlfriend?
That wasn't a thing. You just kind of, you didn't like, I mean, we're like 24 years old here,
Oh.
right? So it's a little different. We had careers. We were both in corporate environments. Like, I'm not going to dick around, right? Like, we are or we're not. If I want to see you, we'll keep going out.
People are so immature. It's like, I have to be cut and clean and tell you, be like, hey, I want to be like
And
on the
maybe
same page.
And maybe that's the difference between age and like being 24. I think if you could fast forward your life and be 24, you don't think you're going to be cutting the fine line with, well, are we or aren't we? You just, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, but you also know, like when people would call for dates, if you're like a weeknight date or you're a weekend date, if it's a day date,
Oh, you guys had that? Oh, wow.
all those things just speak differently, right? If you're going to spend daytime time with somebody, then you must really like them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're a weekend fling,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
call on the weekends. So then, as much or as little detail, tell me about the day I was born.
I was in labor, and I called Dad. He was working in Manhattan at the time. So he comes home. I'm ready to go. I have my bag. I'm all ready.
You're still home.
We're still home. Dad comes home from the train, and he's like, "Can you make me a smoothie?" I'm like, "What? Come again? You want me to make you a smoothie? I'm in labor?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I made him a smoothie because
C-section again? Where
they cut your belly. So the reason, so they didn't do the surgery, and that's why your birthday isn't 1, 2, 3. It's the 3rd, because I missed it by an hour.
Yeah, we were 1 hour off. Yeah, January 2nd, 2003.
Yeah. So
I was on to life on the right foot after that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, they're off the bird topic. First off, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yes. How was I as a kid?
You were my outgoing kid. You were very particular about how you looked, how you dressed. You only wore jeans. You never wore sweatpants.
Well,
And as your pediatrician, Dr. Booker, used to call you Timmy Tucker, you would wear the tucked-in shirt from Children's Place with the matching vest, and you would tuck everything in. Always tried to do the right thing. You were an outgoing kid.
what were your hopes and dreams for me growing up? Ultimately, where I'm at now. Like, what were things that you hoped for me?
So, like, when you were 11 months old, you had asthma, and we thought that was the end of the world. We knew you had food allergies, a lot of food allergies, and we thought, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And you say, okay, it's not as, it can always be worse, right? So you always have to have that glass half full.
Right.
And then,
What I got now,
yeah,
arthritis.
then when you got diagnosed with what you have,
Yeah.
like, that was a brick wall. Like, we didn't know what the heck was going on. You can look back and say, you know, when you're going through things and you don't know why, you'll never know the why. But when you look back, you can say, it's good it happened that way. Like, for all the detours your life can take, and you never know why, but when you look back and you say, yeah, well, it wasn't, you know, it made me stronger. All these things, all these obstacles, all these relationship things, they always make you stronger.
For me now, I'm 20. What do you wish and hope for me now?
You find someone who's worthy of you, because you're a gem.
But for me, I mean, right now I'm 20. I'm in the best shape of my life. I look amazing. I feel amazing. But I also worry about when I'm your guys' age.
Yeah,
Like, that's why.
a little bit older.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even, like, you know, when I'm 30, like, where
Yeah.
I'm going to be at. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad I kind of have this self-reflection of, like, doing anything that I can now and do what makes me happy. And, like, right now before, because who knows, there might be a time where I can't roll out of bed or I can't get up from a chair. Like, everything is just extreme. So, I don't know. Like, I bet you do, that you think about.
I worry about that.
Yeah. No, I worry too. So, all right, we're doing good now. So,
I hope that you meet someone who will be there for you. I hope that, and I know that your siblings will be there for you.
what's your favorite thing about me?
Your outgoingness,
Yeah.
and the way that you can just let things roll off. I think you get that from Dad. You don't get that from me.
What, rolling off? Like,
Yeah.
Too. You're
I know, but
No, but there's a lot of traits.
you're a victim of your circumstances, right? So it's how you grew up and how he grew up versus how I grew up.
Right.
And sometimes a learned behavior is hard to unlearn, right?
Because everybody that's watching here, like, they're very young. So what were some things that you struggled with in your 20s?
Keep a keen eye out for the red flags and listen to them. Sometimes we think that there's more good than red flags, and we push the red flags away.
Yeah.
In the long run, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Because I didn't value myself enough and said, this isn't for you. This is wrong. Because again, to go back to what we said before, it wasn't just the guy, it was his family. And I had a broken family. I didn't have anything near what his family was. And apparently, when I look back, I crave that. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm so grateful to that family because they taught me what family is. So when you look back and you say, what purpose did certain people serve in your life? Why would somebody come into your life and leave your life? For me, they came into my life to teach me how to be a good mom.
Yeah.
And I'm forever grateful for that.
What advice would you give to your younger self at 20?
Don't be so hard on yourself.
Mm.
You're worth it.
Or as you get older, what's an important thing to remember?
You're not walking in everybody's shoes. You don't know what people have been through. People might look like they have their shit together, and they don't. They're falling apart inside. So be kind to people.
I don't mean to call you old, but what's your favorite thing about getting older?
With the strollers and all the little kids and crying and the noises we hear in the restaurants, like the, dropping of the silverware and all that. It's kind of nice to be with adult children. I'm just excited for the next phase, like for you guys to all find someone who loves you and move on to the next phase.
Yeah.
And be happy.
Yeah.
If my kids are happy, I'm happy.
What's a piece of advice that I've ignored?
Stop planning 48 hours in a 24. You pack way too much in. You need to take a breath, enjoy the moment. Don't pack so much in that you're rushing through everything. If you just take a step back and slow down a little bit, I want you to live a full life now, because we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Especially with the planning thing, because I've seen that bleed onto other people. Like me being late, me being off time.
Yeah.
Affects other people too.
Yeah. So if you just take a step back and just plan a little bit better. Planning, I'm a planner. I'm an organized planner.
Yeah.
Things go smoother when they're planned.
Opposite now, what are some things you don't like about getting older?
I don't like the wrinkles on my face.
They're not wrinkles, they're beauty marks.
They're battle wounds.
What are you most looking forward to? Life now.
Moving back to New Jersey.
Yeah, okay. So, you killed it. I have no more questions. All the young people watching, people that are dealing with relationships, trying to better themselves.
In your early 20s, focus on you and your career and making a life for yourself. If someone comes into your life that's worthy, it'll happen.
Yeah.
A lot of people in their 20s, they feel the pressure. They feel the pressure of, oh, I have to find my Mr. Right. I have to find my soulmate. When I go shopping at Marshall's, you can't go into Marshall's necessarily looking for something. It might not be there, but when it's there, you have to grab it.
Yeah.
So you might say, I don't have time for a relationship, but then you meet this amazing person, you'll make the time.
I can't let them go.
Yeah, and it'll find you, and you'll make the time for it. But don't get so up in your head and feel like, oh, all my friends are getting married. I need to be on that track, because then you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to just let things happen, and it's hard. It's so hard because you have this vision of, oh, I should be married by the time I'm this age, or I should. But you know what? But then do you want to be divorced by the time you're 32?
Yeah.
Or would you rather different people and find out what's really the best match? The most important decision you make in your life, besides what you want to do for a living, but you can change that, is who you decide to spend the rest of your life with. Watch for the red flags. So we talked before about love and lust. There could be somebody who's really great in bed that just sucks as a person. It's not. So and we've talked about this, checking the boxes. Are they sparks, or are they checking boxes for you? Because sparks go out, sparks die. You need someone that's going to be there for the long haul. Because you know what? Whatever you're experiencing in the beginning of your relationship, that's the easy part. Life gets hard. So you have to decide what's important to you for you to build your life, because it gets hard. You have kids, you have financial problems, you have health problems, all this crap comes at you. Some people don't have it as hard as others, but if you can build a foundation that's strong enough, you should be able to survive it. But don't sell yourself short. Don't settle. Don't settle. And watch out for the red flags. There's always red flags. You have to decide if they're...
The good outweigh the bad.
Yeah. And what you truly want out of life. Because if you're out of balance, you'll never get in balance. People don't change. So don't forget, like, subscribe, turn on post notifications for Tim.
Thank you for today. I love you with all my heart. And thank you there's zero competition out for the best mother. Like they don't compare, they don't compete with you.
You're welcome.
These cameras are like, if I was to bring a girl, this is my parents, and me and my parents, so this is a huge deal for them and relationship for them. So we got a competition now in the house about who gets more views. So my dad's video, again, if you guys haven't watched that video, go ahead, it's in the description, watch that video. Let's get my mom more views, more shares, more comments, more likes. They both deserve it as the queen, as the mother, and deserve more. So again, if you guys are new, subscribe. Stay strong. I'll see you guys in the next one.